Hello and welcome back to the channel. Form validation is a very important step when creating a login page because you don't want your users to input random stuff on your form and successfully log in or create an account. Your form must detect what the user inputs and give them error messages if they don't put the correct stuff. So in this video, we are going to be building this awesome password validator from scratch using basic HTML, CSS, and vanilla JavaScript. We will cover everything from form creation, styling, and form validation using JavaScript, but first, let me show you how this program works. When you put a potential password on the field provided at the top, the checkboxes at the bottom will glow red or green if the password meets the requirements. If your password does not meet all the requirements, you will be given an error message and the form won't submit. Before we get started, please like the video, subscribe, and say hi in the comments down below. Now the first thing to do is to create and style our form in HTML and CSS. This is the easiest part of the tutorial, so I'm going to fast forward through this step. Just type the code with me to get the same results. There are chapters and timestamps for you to jump between the different parts of the video. I do have a full login page tutorial if you are interested. CSS is super simple to understand too, so I'll be fast forwarding here too, so we can get to the JavaScript as soon as possible. If you know HTML divs, CSS selectors, CSS pseudo selectors, CSS transformations, and transitions, then this will be easy for you. Now that we are done creating and styling our form, here's how it looks. We can input our password here, but the problem is it doesn't do anything yet. So let's write some JavaScript to make it validate our form.
Every time a key is pressed, this function is called. So what I'm going to do now is create this function. Within the function, I'm going to make some variables. These variables are what I'm going to use to interact with HTML elements within JavaScript. So I'm going to grab these elements using their IDs. I'm going to grab all the checkboxes as well as the input. Now to perform the checks, we're going to use an if-else statement. We're basically just going to give it a condition, and if that condition is passed, we're going to tick the checkbox. So I'll just start by grabbing the password. So our condition, we're going to take the value of the password, meaning the password that you input, and we're going to match it with a capital letter A to Z. So if this condition here is passed, meaning if someone inputs a capital letter within the input box, we are going to take the first test and we're going to check the first checkbox for capital letter, and we're going to make it green. So we're basically going to change the color of this checkbox to red if the condition within the braces is not met. Now we're just basically gonna copy and paste this if-else statements for the other checks. So we're going to change the condition and change the checkbox on which the code acts. So just copy and paste the IDs and the names and change the condition, and everything will be okay. Now as you can see, this works. When you input the correct password, the checkboxes tick themselves accordingly. I think I made a mistake here. I have to change this condition to minimum This is the easiest one to understand by far because we're just going to use a less than sign. Now that everything works, as you can see, when I input the password here, the checkboxes mark themselves accordingly, but there's still a problem because even if I don't pass all the tests, I can still submit the form. So we're going to write a function to prevent the form from submitting if the conditions are not met. So what I'm going to do here is create global variables for each test. Or first grab the form so that I can add an event listener to it. So I'm going to create some global variables. So these will basically be booleans and they will all be false because we're going to assume that the test is not passed at first. When the condition is passed, when a test is passed, we're going to set this value to true and use it to allow our form to submit. So what I'm going to do is add an event listener to our form. When the submit button is clicked, it will call this function. It will basically act on our form and submit button. So within here, we're going to use an if statement again. And for our condition, we're going to take in that global variable we just created. If that condition is true, we are going to print success, but if the condition is false, we are going to prevent the form from loading and let the user know that their password is not strong enough. We initially set all conditions to false, so when I try to submit this form here, it will tell me that the password is not strong enough and prevent the form from loading. So what we're going to do is change the condition to true within the if statement here. So if this code runs, then our condition will be true. As you can see, when I try to submit the form of condition, it will tell me that my password is not strong enough. But when I pass the condition, then I can submit the form. So now what I'm going to do is change all the value of the tests to true within the if statement. It's basically copy and paste at this point. We are going to add all the other tests into the condition. Don't use an OR operator, use an AND operator so that all the tests are passed in order for the condition to be true. Now as you can see, Now the program works correctly. It gives me an error if I don't pass all the conditions. In order to submit the form, I will need to make sure that my password is strong enough. I will need to pass all tests in order to. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and say hi in the comments down below. Have a good one.